Magazine reported that Trump's financial worth had dropped by 2/3 to $500 million. In June, Trump missed a payment to the bondholders of his Trump Castle Casino in Atlantic City. The Trump shuttle, which he bought last year from Eastern Airlines, wasn't making a profit. Manhattan's largest tract of undeveloped land, all 76 acres of it, was just sitting there. Trump bought it 6 years ago for $95 million. It's still undeveloped, and there are no buyers in sight. Trump's bankers had a choice. They could force him into bankruptcy or loan him more money. He had to relinquish a great deal of control over his empire, and Trump had to either get his assets to produce more money or sell them. Well, the new book is entitled Surviving at the Top. There are many people who would say failing at the top.
Well, I think what the press has done is taken a situation where they see something and loan it to kingdom come. I've never seen anything like it.
You write in your book, my bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory, and eventually the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the bank,
well, you don't have to
say that. Skating on thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired?
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are saying.
To your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which banker you're talking to, what do they say?
You have a little more debt than most people. You're something like $3 billion in debt.
You also have a little more assets than most people.
Okay.
It's a sort of an interesting phenomena. I have many friends. They are negotiating with their banks the same as I am.
Some of your friends have told us that you deliberately missed a payment on the Trump Castle debt so that you could negotiate this deal with the bank. Is that true?
Did I deliberately miss it? In other words, did I just say I'm not paying it for
because then I can deal with my banks and I can get short-term, agreements over the long term.
Well, I don't want to comment as to whether or not I deliberately missed
Why
the
not?
payment. I think that the deal that's been worked out is a fair deal. The castle is doing very well. It's starting to do really well.
And the Taj Mahal, which was going to save everything, is just about breaking even, and your other two casinos are down 20% from last year. You have debts to pay back.
Right.
You have huge loans to pay back. You say the country is in a depression. What makes you think that you can pay back those loans? And further, what your bankers have told us is that the only way you even have a chance is by selling that property out there totally, the plaza. Look, your bankers wish you well. When I talked to your bankers, they said, we hope he does it. What I am saying to you is, you did overextend yourself. Okay?
I think it's unlikely the plaza gets sold. I think it's unlikely the shuttle gets sold. The shuttle is doing very well. We started off with 12% of the market. We're up to 50% of the market. Now what happens with the fuel oil? I don't know.
Have you had any bidders? Anyone want to buy it?
Yes.
Why haven't you
absolutely.
sold it?
Because I'm not satisfied with the price and because I'm not sure that I'm looking to sell the shuttle.
That Marla Maples did not cause the breakup of your marriage, that you and Nirvana would have split anyway. But didn't it hasten it?
No, that's an absolute correct statement. Marla Maples is a friend of mine. I have a lot of other friends.
You say the fun is in the getting, not the having. Does that include women?
It's an interesting question. I think the hunt is always fun, whether it's deals, whether it's women, whether it's anything.
The drama started when Donald began cheating on his wife, Ivana Trump, with aspiring actress Marla Maples. Donald eventually married Marla 2 months after she gave birth to a baby girl. But by the end of the decade, Trump was single again, and he seemed to enjoy the dating scene.
The reputation of Donald Trump, the man who dates a different woman every year.
I've been with a number of women, but it's been over a fairly long period of time. I've had great relationships with women. No, not my choice. I think my choice might be you. Look at the legs on her. Boy.
Can you imagine how controversial I'd be? You think about Clinton with the women. How about me with the women? Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, I think there is a certain controversy to me, and I am single, and I do go out with women.
An invitation into Donald Trump's world. Footage from 1992 found in the NBC archives shows the future president welcoming Jeffrey Epstein to his Mar-a-Lago estate. The get-together more than a decade before Epstein pleaded guilty to prostitution charges in Florida. Both men are seen enjoying themselves. Trump.
I had prepared thoroughly for a long meeting with Donald Trump to explain to him why this was going to be a very big success. In fact, I hadn't finished my third sentence. He said, "I love the idea, let's do it."
Welcome back to the Look of the Year. Once again, here's John Casablancas to introduce tonight's judges.
Monique Villard. Lintas, New York. He is Stone Roberts. Mr. Patrick de Marchelier. She was the winner in 1989 from Spain, Inés Sastre. And our host here at the Plaza, since he owns the place, the president of the Trump Organization, Mr. Donald Trump.
I recall John inviting very powerful businessmen to be a part of the judging panels. He just thought it was good business to bring in very wealthy men around very young, beautiful women.
Donald Trump was a judge. I don't understand why he was there in terms of context of a fashion show. How could he judge it?
Contest is the ultimate contest for women that want to go all the way in the modeling business.
I mean, it all depends on how I act this week. You know, I mean, I have just as good a chance as anyone else, but I mean, everyone's so beautiful, so it's kind of hard. So mostly, I think it's going to depend on everyone's personality.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm 15 years old, and I'm from Austria, and I love my country.
Hi, I'm Adele from Australia. I'm 16 years old. I come from Australia, the home of the kangaroo.
Hey, there's some energy there. Whoa! Some of them are from some of them are from villages, you know, and they've never even attempted modeling before. And
a lot of these girls never, you know, they're from small places and they've never probably been around hundreds of people, let alone thousands.
Hello, I'm 16 years old and come from Denmark, and New York is a great city. Hi, I'm Ulla from Finland. I'm 19 years old. I'm from...
Hello, my name is Amy Smedley. I'm 15 years old, and I come from beautiful horse country, Northern California. From the wild north Canada. 15 years old. I'm Emma Booth.
A lot of girls got their hair cut, and it was like drastic changes, but they went from looking like 13 to looking 20.
Half of you are going in a bus to the hairdressers.
Your hair is very bad.
Because the photographer wants you to do things that you normally would never do, and you have to change your personality so fast.
Great. With your left hand, give me back. Watch your light sword. That's it. Perfect. That's the shot.
It's a little odd being like really young compared to everyone else, but it's not bothering me really at all. I've only been in modeling the business for like 3 months.
If a 24-year-old came to New York and tried to start at 24, no one would talk to her. Because she's too old.
I think judges like boobs.
Definitely.
Hi.
Okay, Emma, tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Well, I'm 15 years old, almost 16. I'm from Canada.
Yeah, she's so young, though. You know, it's like you can.
Yeah, that's terrific right there.
Yeah.
See.
15 now.
I'm 15. Yeah, I just turned 15 August 1st.
Okay.
My name's Dana Douglas. I'm from Philadelphia. 15. I like to exercise. I'm 16 years old. I enjoy modeling a lot. I just started a little while ago, but I really do like it, and I'd like to just do whatever it takes. My name's Adele McLean. I'm 16. I'm from Australia. I like windsurfing, water skiing. I like heavy metal music.
I like big dogs and chocolate.
What's your good?
And no, not anymore. And
She also likes to argue with you. So
yeah,
you like,
it's the great.
if you were in the top 10 of this contest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Epstein Files on the Gabriel Speaks Podcast, joined by Mr. Flack Magnet. Mr. Flack Magnet, how are you, sir? Are you weathering the storm?
Good evening. I'm doing all right, man. It's been beautiful, actually, the last 2 days out here. As far as the Epstein file storm, yeah, I'm weathering that all right. I don't know. I wrote several angry letters to several angry politicians, so we'll see how that goes.
Very good. That's the way to do it. Yeah, politicians, they get shit done for sure. So I know people are thinking, Gabe, why are you playing this Look of the Year contest stuff? We've already done this. We've already gone over this. But I'm here to tell you, we were just scratching the surface, because I think we established in that episode that Donald Trump was very much involved in this Look of the Year competition that had a plethora of underage girls separated from their families in New York City, being controlled by these rich, powerful scumbags. That's just scratching the surface, y'all. You have characters like Jean-Luc Brunel, who we haven't even talked about. We've got characters like Daniel, right? What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. I'm going to find it. Danny or Daniel?
Syed.
Yes, Daniel Syed, yes. We've got him. So we've almost got like this network of rich men, and these guys are like they're recruiters of young women. And they do it under the guise of modeling. But I think what it really is just a pipeline. It's sure some of them go on and have some good opportunities, but many of them end up as subjects of abuse. That's what many of the victims are telling us now, is that they were promised these things. Sometimes it would even like work out that way, where they get what they wanted, but the price they would have to pay for that, oftentimes not worth it. So I did put together, this is kind of a broad look at the pipeline here. So it starts with this young aspiring model, oftentimes younger than they should be. They start with the, quote unquote talent scouts. So you've got, of course, Maxwell up there. You've got Sarah Kellen. You've got Leslie Groff, and you've got Haley Robson, who are, promising them this better life, this better opportunity if they're lucky enough to be chosen. And then you have these fake castings and even like fake contracts between Jean-Luc Brunel and MC2 Modeling, Peter Lisperman, who was a quote-unquote Russian matchmaker, Epstein himself, and Maxwell. Before they know it, these girls are jet-setting off to parties and massages through this slow manipulation. And what's really grossed me out about a lot of this is how this, quote, upper class of people really view us lower class of people as we are disposable 100%. It's crazy.
Yeah, I see it more and more. I don't know. You hear how Epstein and Gates talked in the background about depopulation and stuff, and you find out most of the conspiracies about all that shit were true. These people do want to depopulate the earth for some reason, and it's almost like they can't get it through their own head. They're not going to manufacture the drinks and the fucking food that they eat. They're not even going to cook it for themselves. So, if they get rid of everybody, who's going to do the shit that they done?
The chosen few. I really don't know. There was an interview earlier about one of the victims who, she was an artist, and we hear about the modeling pipeline where they would manipulate young aspiring models, they would also manipulate young women they thought were, basically they were scouting out young women to potentially have good enough DNA to help him kind of populate the earth, is what it's looking like. Not populate the earth, but essentially create a harem. And this young lady said that he was trying to recreate Babylon itself on Earth. And she believed a lot of what him and Maxwell were into is like bringing about Satan, or it was really have you seen this interview?
No, but a lot of the esoteric Gnostic religions all tie into the same thing, where it's like all right, so what you try to do is you try to force action from God, like you create such an abomination that it's forced him to move his hand to fix the situation, so they feel like the quicker that they drive it to absolute and total chaos, the quicker that there's a force of like stepping in to fix whatever problems, so that's what it seems to be, like the red heifer shit, like if we just fulfill the goddamn prophecy, then he has to come back. That's
right.
Kind of like almost what the mindset is with that,
It's crazy. So yeah, and on top of that, we're all just meat for the grinder to these folks. So I did actually, this is a little piece of that interview. I think it was from
Giving me
TMZ.
books to read. He indoctrinated.
So this was a girl that she wanted to be an artist, wanted to go to art school. So not like the other girls. This was one he regarded as higher than the other girls, one that was worthy of carrying his child to term.
And his ideology was a polygamous empire that he told me he was planning on building. Like it's, in the beginning, I read the books. I thought it was just an idea. I was studying history books. He kept talking about it, and most of our conversations revolved around this harem. And I know, like in other countries, they call it the harem, but here in America, he called it harem. That's why I pronounce it that way. He told me I was going to be a favorite, and I was going to be part of Babylon. So now referring back to the religious artwork that I made, and him telling me I was going to be a part of Babylon. At that age, I had no idea that Babylon is the most grotesque, disgusting, unholy place that is mentioned in scripture in the Bible, in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I sincerely believe that this is what Jeffrey Epstein was truly doing here on this planet. He was building or rebuilding Babylon.
Damn.
Yeah, it's odd. It's like I don't know, the French wrote about it a bit. It's like what the elite, extremely debaucherous acts. Yeah, I don't know. There's also tales of a certain Asian artist within his fold that was incredibly big bitch to the other girls. And Maria Farmer talks about her because I believe, I think that was. Just because Maria Farmer had a couple interviews where she talked about her, and like some people were way more ass kissy than others, so she was on like the teacher's pet side of things and was willing to do pretty much anything to get her artwork out there, so where I don't know, Maria was kind of like treated like shit in art school and then treated like shit from Epstein. So I guess the same allure wasn't there for her to like try and kiss ass. She was already like, I don't know. She already felt like she was on the outs in some sort of way. So
yeah,
she had more of a rebel attitude than the teacher's pet one.
It's an interesting interview. Y'all should check it out on, it was via TMZ, but says a lot of really interesting things in there. And yeah, it sounds, once again, it's this manipulation, but just in another sort. And she really, speaking of like being on the outs or whatever, she talked about this like hierarchy. When they would be lucky enough to go out with Epstein and Maxwell, they had to walk behind them because, you know, they're not as high on the social pole as Epstein and Madam Jizzface is.
Well, think about that. Like, as far as being photographed with people, right? Like, makes sense for Epstein and Ghislaine. They want it to be the celebrities that they're with that are in
Right.
the photographs. You know, these women are nothing more than pawns to them. So, like, having them in any pictures with that, because it won't give them any clout. You know, Ghislaine and Epstein, it'll only give the girls clout for being in a photo with like Naomi Campbell and stuff. You know, so what you would have, I guess, is them in the background while you have, because like we've seen Elon Musk, we've seen Trump, we've seen who else?
In the files?
Oh, why can't I think of his name? Not in the files. Well, yeah, it'd be in the files, but like just walking with them. Every photograph that they have that was publicity, you know, not in the files. And I mean, like Ghislaine at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. But I was thinking of Kevin Spacey. That's who. Boom. Like you'll have photos with all these stars, and then like once in a while you'll get like Virginia Giuffre in the background of like Naomi Campbell's photograph, you know. But most of the time they want them front and center, the celebrities that are going to bring them more clientele, you know, more blackmail material.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the more like I go through some of the emails, the more I'm realizing like they felt they could do things like this to people because they didn't consider them people, right? Like they considered them second class, third class garbage, you know, that they would deal with and play with sometimes for fun. And the modeling thing, man, it goes deep, right, Flack? I mean, we haven't even gotten into this character here. Jean-Luc Brunel, owner of MC Squared or something, MC2. It was a modeling management. Yeah, because models need management.
And Brands, he had a chunk in. Same thing with Les Wexner, and I'm actually finding out that there's like, because I knew there were many key players like within this fold, but like there were so many that were just starting. Like what we noticed with the teen pageants and shit. The same thing with like teen clothing brands and stuff. You know, like I knew that Abercrombie had a ton of things within its branding, but I also knew that Abercrombie started out in like 1850s. You know, when they were doing like leather stuffed animals and super high end goods for children and like clothing. But then they sold, I believe it was like mid 90s to the L Brands thing, which was Les Wexner's, like under Les Wexner. And then he brought in the guy who the Maiden lawsuit was about recently. But I don't know, man. There's a pattern that I didn't notice that, like, just on this re-examination on all these things, like, I'm starting to figure out how deep it really goes and how wide the net is, and how it seems like a franchise almost, you know, like, but a franchise for like trafficking. You know, these people would join up. They'd get their own little startup, you know, their own little group, or, you know, we use the girl who was just on. They get their own little harem. They get their own little management. You know, they get their own little house provided for them. Cough, cough, Lutnick. Cough, cough, Epstein. Cough, cough. Any of them who got a free fucking $10 million house.
How fucked up is that Howard Lutnick is still in the White House? How fucking crazy is that? I guess as
People need to
crazy
wake
as
the fuck up.
Trump being in
you
the
know?
files 40,000 times, right?
Like, people just need to start getting angry because, like, all right, your government is actively now working against you to help a depopulation effort against you. You're paying for your own demise, people.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean anything other than like just wake up to the fact that everything political wise that you've been sold for the past, I'd say since JFK, at least since JFK. We know it was before that. I know it was before that with the Smedley Butler and stuff. But everything's a lie. Everything they fed you is horse shit. Every war has been an effort for them to gain political favor and make a fuck ton of money for their friends. So
yeah.
I don't know. Now getting the idea of how much child trafficking there is involved in all this shit, like there's nothing left for us. You know, unless we're all going to say like, okay, I'm going to go work my fucking sucker job, where the elites can go and do literally whatever they want while they're making their billions on the backs of children, you know, in horrendous ways. Unless we're all okay with that, you know, something needs to get done. You know, the Pam Bondi and our government are willing to go, mistakes were made, but not fix any mistakes. Like all this is still, the evidence is still there. We're looking at it, you know, for them to still not fucking arrest anybody or do anything is pathetic.
We're
you know,
not even looking at all of it.
Protector at this point, right?
Right.
Well, no,
and
you're right. But
some of the witnesses will say that Maxwell did more horrific things to those kids than Epstein did.
Well, Epstein, think of it like good cop, bad cop, right? Like she was bad cop. She was the one that, like Pied Piper, you know, she lured everyone in under the guise of like, I'm one of you girls, I'll keep you safe. And then she sold you out immediately as soon as you got through that door, you know?
Yeah.
Epstein got to seem more like, hey, I'm paying you. Hey, I'm making your life better. Look, it's my connections at Victoria's Secret that's going to get you this. You know, like they played off each other like that because you have to understand. Like,
well, and
she probably
speaking of
taught him a lot about the blackmail.
Yeah, speaking of Victoria's Secret, the Alice, I can't think of her last name right now, but she 20 years ago gets called into this hotel by Jeffrey Epstein's assistant to come and bring her portfolio. She does so. He has her come up to his room and then essentially tries to manhandle her. She takes off, goes and tells the Palm Beach Police Department. Sorry about that. I hit my mic. And they do nothing. And 20 years later, she's suing the Palm Beach Police Department. If they would have done something then, who knows what might have been prevented, at least for some of those victims down the road. So yeah, the fact that even the law enforcement apparatus is not doing shit as we're literally looking at evidence. I mean, right here, I added it just a moment
100%.
ago. I mean, this email right here, he says, I think one of them was 14. I wanted to make you a great surprise. It didn't work this time. I really hope that it worked next time. In this business, I feel like fishermen sometimes. One catch quick, sometime no fish. I really did good work for scouting in Scandinavia. Most of them will be ready to start with tomorrow. At least 5 of them, 16 and 17, will be ready for the next year, but I can't send you their pictures as no. 16 and 17, but I can't send you their pictures as you know, which probably means like they don't want to violate. They're like, hey, at least we can't send pictures of the underage girls to each other, even though at some points they do. It looks like they're trying not to do it by email anyway.
Well, it could also be where they are, because remember what I was telling you? Like, Epstein had end-to-end encryption between his own estates, right? So, That's why you see a lot of Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein, and it'll be signed by Anna. It'll be signed by Sarah. It'll be signed by Karina, like all the little assistants. But it'll be from JEE LSJ to JEE New York City.
Yes.
But that's because he was able to have that completely encrypted. Like the FBI probably didn't have any of those messages up until they went to his fucking to the island, and were able to find some hard drive that those actually existed.
Yeah. So do you mean by encrypted? So like he would send it out from one email address.
Well, be it like,
he would have a local server that would encrypt it and then send it out another one.
The microwave transmission technology that we were talking
shit,
about. Like,
there we go, dude.
And stuff. That's the encryption, right? So think of it like he had somebody come in and install a signal, but a signal that only he can get access to close-ended.
It can't be
fully
tapped.
encrypted from one to the other. Yeah.
Right.
Because there's also nobody else on that node. It would be like I don't know, like a virtual Ethernet cable only to and from his certain estates. I guess in order to hack that, you would have to probably I don't know if it would even work. Like I'm thinking, remember how they used to do telephone lines? How if you can actually just like take like that big goofy looking telephone that they would carry around, it just had some spikes that would go right through the wire, make contact with the copper in there, and you could make a phone call from anywhere. I wonder if there was anything like that, because pineapples and DDoS, none of those like hacking techniques would work. So I'm wondering if like maybe literal.
I stumbled across this email, which it says it's from Redacted, but it says, and this is November 9th, 2016, so right after the election, I simply cannot believe this victory. No one called it. We all thought she'd win. You must be happy, though. I remember flying back with Donald on his plane. The first weekend I went to visit you in Florida was the weekend he met Melania, and he kept on coming out of the bedroom saying, "Wow, what a hot piece of ass." Nuts. Anyway, hope you're enjoying Saudi. But we don't see who that's from. Why would they redact who that's from?
This is you know what I find really weird, right? Like the way things are said in some of these emails, like this is obviously coded, right? I wonder if this is to get things into a certain timeline, because like he also had texts. There was like 500 ways to get in touch with this guy. Especially like he had a few friends who invented certain social media platforms with like 150 people deep. Just these guys would sit on another app and talk about shit. So like we're only getting bits and pieces, and I want to know why that specific thing is said in this email chain. Like
it's interesting, right?
Because we won't be able to figure out the redaction on it. But like, if we can figure out why that's said, like, I think it'd be more imperative to like maybe that's a Leslie Groff, but like, she's not redacted in any other things, But that seems like that's an assistant who knows some shit, or like maybe a past assistant, or like think of who would have been on that fucking plane in the first place. It would have been like stewardess, maybe, pilots, assistants, and then who? Just the passengers. We know it was intimate. Maybe another girl that was there, but I don't think they would speak so cavalier,
Right. What's interesting is who, why would they be rooting for a Trump win? Why would that be something Jeffrey Epstein would be excited about is also interesting.
Oh, because Hillary Clinton is Satan. Even Satan knows evil is bad,
Yeah. What's up, Ron? So Ron says Nygaard had women's clothing stores across Canada hunting for victims. I believe it. That guy was creepy as fuck. That's another thing. Like, so many of these guys are so fucking creepy, right? Like,
dude,
no wonder you have to do this
Nygaard
shit to
was-
women, because you're a fucking creeper.
Nygaard was a vampire, bro. Like, not only did he do that in Canada, but because he was already old as fuck when he went out internationally, and he was trying to procure eggs and stem cells and all that kind of crazy shit. Yeah, that guy was out of his goddamn mind. Like, I couldn't imagine what they got, like what was not in that documentary that he was up to.
Right. Now, what is... I've been trying to kind of piece this one together. It says, be careful. Zampoli is trouble. Lots. And Zampoli, this again, we're back to these guys involved with modeling. We got, Wes Lexner. We've got Jean-Luc. We've got Daniel Said. So all these people connected up high to these modeling agencies.
Ramsey Elkely, we have that fucking guy who was more in like the European, Russian, Estonia, Ukraine side of things. I think he also went to Bolivia and some of those places.
Yeah.
Malaysia is another one. But yeah, they're all recruiters, one end of the modeling spectrum to the other,
Right. Yep. And sometimes, like, it's interesting, like with Jean-Luc, like sometimes it would be a legitimate business deal, but then it was kind of like he had this side gig to like filter a certain type of woman to Jeffrey. And Daniel worked really hard on that. Like, you can tell by these emails, he spent a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to get together a group of women that Epstein would be happy with.
Yeah, they all kind of did that. I think we go over the Ramsey Elkely one where he was like pissed that this one girl like had met with Epstein a few times and like never got nude for him, and he was like, "Listen, man, I'm really trying on my end," like yeah, it was for a modeling gig. Because I remember we talked about how like I could sort of understand if they're trying to get you into your underwear if it's a Victoria's Secret gig, if like you're going in under the auspices that you're trying out for Victoria's Secret, I would assume you're gonna have to wear like some kind of lingerie for that shit. But if it was like just a Macy's thing and they're like, hey, here, go stand over there in this lingerie, I'd be fucking red flag central, But like he was pissed because he was like, yeah, like she hasn't done anything. Please sleep with this chick because like I'm tired of her being such a brat and having standards and morals. Like he couldn't get it out of his head that she didn't want to fuck this old creep. Like I don't know, but just hearing these people talk about how like I don't know, man. Like I've been a salesman before, like I've had to sell things, like clothes. I worked at an instrument store once, and like as a musician, it was really fucking easy to sell instruments, like. But I go at it as an honest person. Like somebody walks in and they go, hey, I'm looking for something in the drum section or something in the this section. And I go, okay, well, what are you looking for? What's your sound and what's your budget? Like, let's see if I can meet those two, and let's see if we can get you out of here with something that you want and you're not going to fucking regret. Right. Because everything has like a return policy. That return comes right back out of your commission. Like if somebody returns their shit, you got to return that commission. So like on a like it's $2,000 drum set, like that's a nice commission that's going to be fucking taken right out of your hands. So you usually try to get people to leave and not feel like they just made a huge fucking mistake. But like, I don't talk about that like people that you sell things to, like in normal sales, like they're a piece of meat. I would imagine maybe like used car salesmen, like shitty car salesmen and stuff might talk like that, but when you're dealing with human beings and I don't know, man. Like things that people are comfortable with as far as like sexuality is concerned. Like, who the fuck are you to? I don't know. This shit just still fucking bugs me out, dude. Like, if I'm being honest, like, even after all these years, I'm still shocked to see how these people talk about us. You know.
Me too, because you don't want to believe it, right? You don't want to believe that there's really this element out there. You know, you want to believe you live a good life and you try to be good to other people as much as you can. But like these people have really, if you've gone through these emails or these files, it is eye-opening to see that we are literally viewed as disposable. The fact that agents went looking for bodies on Zorro Ranch, like we're just 3.5 million documents. We're 3 million documents short. We know Trump had the FBI flag anything with his name in it. I wonder if that has to do with Melania too. Because there's no hard evidence, but her running in these modeling circles in the 90s and then him running in those same circles and then that email we just read, I think it's pretty obvious without having the, bombshell, rock hard evidence. I think it's still signs point to Trump was hooked up with Melania and maybe in a not so romantic way. We'll just put it that way.
Well,
I just know
that's kind of been one of the rumors going around though is sloppy seconds. He did get married to one of Jeffrey's ex-girlfriends supposedly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and these people, they're running things, like literally running our government right now. We're in a war. What the fuck is going on, man? I really feel like this war was not only did we get pushed into it by another country, but also maybe some kind of distraction from this craziness. We go to war, we're worried about a whole nother set of problems than we are with this Epstein thing. It's just fucked up, man. And if that's the case, like if we're risking American men and women's lives for a narrative like it's fucking reality TV, then I'm not a big fan. Not a fan at all. And he's what is it? And just the emails we have, 40,000? Let's take a look. Let's go ahead and search Donald Trump. And keep in mind, this is just the emails, just what hasn't been redacted. If we just search Donald Trump, we've got 2,252 hits. Holy shit. Now, sure, some of those are going to be media coverage of Trump, so on and so forth, but...
Yeah, some doubles, I'm pretty sure every email's in there like 4 times.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, just done on purpose, right? To just try to get researchers buried in this shit. But just a few emails I was able to find that literally point to Daniel Sheed and Jean-Luc Brunel helping Jeffrey Epstein get underage girls. Literally what they were trying to do, and they were so nonchalant about it, they were typing it in email form. It's insane. So if that is the case, how is modeling these days?
It's probably worse. The situation clearly is not getting any better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, things don't typically get better, right? Like we've kind of been noticing that about the way these rich people do things. I think it's just a lack of total care for what happens after they're dead. Another interesting thing, Jean-Luc Brunel met damn near the same fate that Jeffrey Epstein met in a prison cell. Jean-Luc Brunel also, quote unquote, committed suicide while in a prison cell. And I was watching this interview, it was about 4 years ago, with one of his victims. And she clearly was not upset about his death, but she did say that she doesn't believe he killed himself either, because narcissists don't kill themselves. And that's kind of what I was saying about Epstein. I was like, why would he basically beat the rap the first time. You know, he had Ken Starr as representation. Why would he not fight it? Why would he feel like suicide's the only way out? I think it was a hit. Call him as I see him. It looks like a hit ordered at the highest levels.
Yeah, I agree. This whole shit is crazy. Like the levels that it reaches and the amount of cover-ups that are willing to be had, you know, but at least Europe is acting on it. You know, they're arresting
sort of
people.
Sort of. Yeah, I mean, you're right though.
Better record than us, you know, like
we have two guys that were in the Epstein files hundreds and thousands of times running our White House. That's America right now, folks. And look,
he won 2 lotteries in New Mexico.
Right.
Like he won 2 lotteries. Dude, they rigged 2 fucking state lotteries and no one was prosecuted for that. You know, like how the fuck is New Mexico not losing their shit? If I had ever spent a single dollar on a lottery ticket in New Mexico, I would be losing my fucking mind that me, a hardworking individual, can't win, but it can be rigged for a fucking repeat sex offender. You know, like that shit is crazy.
It's out of control. It is. It's just corruption at the highest levels of our government, you know, all the way up to the White House, all the way up to the main man in the White House. And what do you do about that? You know, I guess what we can do is what we're doing, which is just trying to point it out to people. Like, you should be pissed. These are supposed to be our quote unquote leaders. If you ever wonder why the election is always between dumb shit A and dumb shit B, I think it's pretty obvious. It's because they're all bought and paid for. And it's who's willing to be the biggest shill, essentially, is what it seems like. Ay, ay, ay. And it's on both sides, because we saw them bury Bernie on the Democratic side. No, it's Hillary's time, not Bernie's time. Who cares what the polls say? Who care what those peons think? They're only the voters. They don't matter. So the modeling connection is definitely a thing. And Jean-Luc Brunel's death, it's another one like Epstein's, where there was technically an investigation, but not really. Like it was a bullshit investigation. Like, you can find so many errors in that Epstein death investigation. It's ridiculous. Like, they don't even, it's crazy how many errors you can find in that investigation. Like cameras pointed right at the room that weren't working. Come on, y'all. You believe that shit? Come on. We can't be that dumb. Yeah, I'm with Ron. Like, I'm so close to doing the pitchfork thing, man, because it's so maddening. It's just so maddening. So when you went down the modeling rabbit hole, what were some things you noticed?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, it cut out for me for a couple seconds there.
Oh, my bad, buddy. No, yeah, I was asking, when you went down the modeling rabbit hole of the Epstein files and whatnot, was there anything you noticed you thought was interesting, or have we pretty much pointed it all out?
We pretty much ripped through all of it, like because I was running a few names through. This is like 2019. Like Ryan Dawson covered a lot, and Whitney Webb had covered a whole bunch. So I was looking into like a Brunel, Wexner, and Peter Nygaard, and then like Peter Nygaard was like one of the first ones I looked into to find out all the crazy shit that he was up to. So that like vampire is a pretty good description of that guy, you know. So like pretty early on, finding a vampire within their midst, you're like, okay, things are bound to get a little crazy. Then it gets a little more tame when you get to Brunel. You know, Brunel was just a fucking creep who did a lot of really bad things to underage women, but like he wasn't like trying to procure their fucking babies to grind up and make a life juice out of. You know what I mean? Like Nygaard is a fucking nut.
He's
John
the one
McAfee,
where they had
right?
him on. They had him on video, right? Asking those girls about their disturbing.
And now, imagine if John McAfee had gone like full super villain. Then you have Nygaard. No. He I don't know, man. I don't know. I think a little bit better of him than I do Nygaard and all of Epstein's fucking cohorts. You know what I mean? Like McAfee, I don't think did any of those terrible things. You know, he was up to his own shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'll say this: he's a prick for the antivirus shit. You know, the every 10 fucking minutes, like update your fucking antivirus. Fuck off, McAfee. I do not want your antivirus. Thanks.
Well, I put some information into my AI here and had it kind of pump this out, but you kind of had a local recruitment line, which was the Palm Beach schools and all that shit that happened that he got in trouble for in Florida, that was probably doing it in other areas as well. But that's the one we know for a fact there was a case built on it. He was busted for it in Florida, and he wasn't busted as much as he should have been. And there were many victims that got no recognition there, which is fucking crazy. But nonetheless, that's what he got in trouble for in Florida. That's what we know can be proven in a court of law. Happened. It already happened. But then you had this international pipeline where you had these wannabe models, and it didn't seem to matter how young they were to Jean-Luc Brunel or John Casablancas, right? And all of a sudden they're in Look of the Year contest. They're the winner of the Look of the Year contest, or they're the runner-up. They're getting deals with Victoria's Secret. Like, these guys are coming through on opportunities, but there is a cost that these girls are having to pay. And we have to be real about that. All these guys, fucking scumbags in the highest form. If you're a model and you're connected to any of these jokers, please run. Like, you can go to the MC2 website right now, Flack, and it is full of models with their names and everything. Like it's a catalog of women you can order It's absolutely crazy.
They also got famous for the whole like emaciated, trafficked look. You know what I mean? Like some of their models would have like black eyes in their fucking headshots and stuff. Like it was crazy, man.
When like the
Absolutely crazy.
heroin look was the thing.
Yeah, but they took it another step.
Yeah,
you know,
so this is
more
the
like
this is the site now. So look at it, and this is just what it loads up to. Right out of the gate, it's got women and their measurements and everything else. I mean, it's insane. And so these guys would travel all around the world, and it didn't matter how old they were. If they were too young, they get permission from the parents and take them away from the country that they're in, isolate them in apartments that were paid for, but not let them do much. And then when one of the bigwigs would show up, they should be able to do whatever they want to do. It's fucking disgusting. Like, you know, if you want a prostitute, just don't get a prostitute. Go get a prostitute. Don't like wreck a person. It's insane when you get into the emails where they're talking about what kind of girls to get, girls that didn't have family to rely on and shit like that.
These are
like,
billionaires too, right? Like let's not forget these are fucking billionaires, right? They can afford to vacation anytime they want. Right, like maybe they're a CEO or whatever, so maybe they can't technically vacation whatever they want, but they got more money than God. They can vacation whatever the fuck they want. They can go to Nevada, where that shit is legal. You know, they can go to the red light district in Amsterdam. They can go to wherever else.
Sure.
Prostitution is fully legal and do this legally, right? Where they get no backlash or anything. But they don't. They choose to do it in this fucked up way for whatever reason. You know, like it's not up to me to make excuses for their fucking retarded behavior. You know, it's up to me to point and go, look at this shit. This is fucked up. And this is the whole thing is like they look down at us, and this is the stuff they get up to behind closed doors. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And the Nygaard thing is very disturbing, because you look at what he was willing to say on video. Like, what did he hide that he said? It's super, super disturbing. And I feel like this happens with so many people that get a certain amount of success or a certain amount of fame. It's like, so you see so many of them slip into these really dark areas. And like listening to that victim earlier talk about like, no, this guy wanted to like bring about Babylon. That's what we're fighting here, people. Like, these people believe this shit. And if you think like Epstein and this cohorts were the only ones, no. I promise there are other cabal type things out there like this, and even worse than this going on. 80,000 children went missing from the southern border in 2024. 80,000. Not 80 or 800.
Also, like, what did people think was going to happen? You know, like, the criminals were not going to take advantage of the streets being empty and fucking you being able to walk in any store with a fucking mask on your face. You know, when this happened in New York and COVID happened and everything went under lockdown and all the stores were mostly closed, but like bodegas and liquor stores and all this, things that had high cash inflow, you know, I knew that there were going to be a lot of fucking armed robberies just because everyone was wearing a mask. People rob stores like that all the time, and the opportunity isn't as great as it was during those times. You know, like Even the police force was overwhelmed. So I don't know, man. Just common sense, even with this. Like, if you have a CEO of these modeling agencies, like, just getting in trouble for the same shit over and over again, and nothing happens to them. Like, people are just going to continue to do it. You know, like there needs to be some kind of repercussion that makes them go like, oh, maybe let me not do the worst stuff to people possible.
Well, what's great, like you can find in the emails where they're talking about, I can't remember who they're talking about, but they're talking about someone who got their second sexual assault charge brought against them. And they're basically saying, I can't remember if it was Jean-Luc or maybe Daniel, I can't remember. But basically they're saying like, yeah, you know, the first one, you can come back from that one. But the second one, and they were feeling bad for him because he got caught. And it's like, he got caught R-ing girls. Like, what are you talking about? How is that? And then, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if you saw this, but there's an email between Jeffrey Epstein and, oh, I can't think of her name. The rich lady he gave $100,000. Well, I don't know if she's rich, but the society lady he gave $100,000 to for her birthday. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wasn't Fergie? Was it?
It might have been.
Like one of Andrew's exes.
Yeah, she's like kind of a socialite down there, and she was like kind of reintroducing him to society after the charges.
Oh, that was his PR for the second, maybe not the second time around, maybe the first. But she gave him that big ass party that everyone went to and then got in trouble. Yeah, what the hell was her name? It wasn't Leslie Groff. It was Siegel, something Siegel.
Pat? I can't remember. But anyway, there's this email between him and her where she tells him about this girl that she's going to hook him up with. And she says that when she was 18, this girl was raped. And that on their first date, Jeffrey Epstein should dress up like the guy that raped her when she was 18. And they thought that was funny. These are the people we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like after that other one where it's like, yeah, I told that journalist that I was the child trafficker with his violence. You know, him getting his rocks off with that one.
And she freaked out. Yeah. And then Michael Schallenberger trying to reframe it as something it wasn't was very interesting.
Yeah, we can say that again today. He's a piece of shit. Schallenberger, you're a fucking clown.
Fuck. 2 of those for you, buddy.
Yep. A couple of birds for you, bud.
I got to step aside to the restroom.
Bird.
I got to step aside to use the restroom. Yes. Are you leaving?
I'm going to have to run. Yeah. Just because I've got family now leaving and everything. So,
I got to take care of the family.
Today has been crazy. Like a bunch of my family from New York came out, and then all my family that's like out here now came to see them. So like it's been a wild week.
All right. Well, you go enjoy that. Thank you for stopping by. As always, we love having your insight. So lucky to call you a friend and to have your insight on all this stuff, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I fucking love being here, bro. This has been, I don't know, cathartic in a way to like finally get this shit out, you know? So,
yeah,
I couldn't
it's
have
a
asked for
terrible
better
thing.
company.
Yeah, it's like a terrible thing, but it's almost like I feel like we're doing a service, you know? Because we're not going to sugarcoat this shit like they are going to on the mainstream media. Or just go with one story, because that's how they try to frame it. Try to give it one narrative when really it's way more complicated than that. So, all right, buddy, get out of here. Go see your family. Thank you for hanging out. Flag Magnet, everyone. Flag Magnet.
Peace.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And as I said, I am going to step away for just a moment. But what I'm going to do is play this Look of the Year contest, what's left of it. for just a moment while I stay playing. I will be right back, folks. Again, Look of the Year contest was essentially this specific year, 1992, was basically sponsored by Donald Trump. It was held in his lobby. They went out on a yacht that he paid for, which is another weird thing. Why would you want a bunch of underage girls on a yacht in international waters? See, your first thought is, oh, it's just a party for these models because we're not evil like these bastards. So to them, they get these underage girls out in international waters. It's all fair game at that point, right? There's no rules in international waters. It's probably how they look at it. But yeah, take a look at this. Look at the Year contest 1992. And I point this one out specifically because the winner was 14 years old.
Travel. You're still so young. How do you think you would work that out with school and so on?
I think I would probably get a tutor, and because I would like to get a tutor so I can go back to school.
Our winner, she's 14 years old. She's from Chicago, Illinois, Marianne Mosley. She's the Look of the Year 1992 and the winner of a $150,000 contract with Elite.
She's just so young.
I think she's got everything I dream of, and it says that she's got spirit, she's got the smile, she's got a few things. She's somewhere in between that Cindy Crawford, Stephanie Seymour, and everything that's best that America has to offer.
When I got off the plane to New York, I did not think I was even going to make it this far. I mean, I thought just go, have fun, get to see what the whole modeling business is like now, and this is overwhelming. I can't believe any of it. This is just too cool.
The next Look of the Year model, the recipient of a $150,000 elite modeling contract, is Heidi from Denmark.
Culmination of the entire week that these girls have been through ended up at this grand party. Everybody got loose and crazy, and there were no chaperones. Parties were the payback for all of these so-called investors or friends. Liquor flowed quite liberally, and your inhibitions were gone, and the guests were friends of Johnny's. We laughed at some of these guys. To us, they were clowns. They were idiots, chasing young girls. I haven't spoken about this before because it took a while to process. But since our culture has changed so much, I realized that this is the backstory that a lot of people don't know about.
You get some beautiful women around these days because I'm sick and tired of snap.
The Look of the Year contest became a kind of fishing hole for some executives of Elite. It was a place where they singled out both girls who were vulnerable and might be sexually available and girls who had powerful attributes that might become very successful.
I remember this Italian girl, extremely naive, who couldn't speak any English. She was easy prey. They were all around her. We were a bunch of kids, just put there with all these older men.
And then down this large staircase, in front of all of us, there was Donald Trump, and behind him there were 3 actors. I don't want to name them because they're all still around. They came down the stairs and spread out like sharks among the girls, who had broken up into little clusters throughout the room. During the 5-day competition, it was very clear that there were opportunities to go out and party with Donald. The contestants were led to believe that if you were nice to certain people, good things will happen to you, and I think that's why girls were going out.
I remember attending a dinner with John Casablancas and Donald Trump. This time it was a private area, a big table and lots of girls. I'd say around 10 to 15 of us, all between the ages of 14 and 18. It was just us models, Trump and John. We were all underage, but we were offered drinks. I went home early, but other children stayed.
It's just so gross, right? When you think about what was actually happening. I mean, you know, in the 80s, in the 90s, you certainly could get away with a lot more, right? Not everybody had a cell phone. The internet wasn't even a thing in the 80s, not until later in the 90s. So it's, you can find stories all through old Hollywood of old men picking up, you know, girls that are much too young for them to be with, obviously. But when you see it happen in today's day and age, I mean, the 80s and 90s, not that long ago, y'all. I mean, it's like the president of the United States right there was at this event. Actually sponsored this event. Sponsored this cruise. And you can see there's multiple females here who are not even 16, 17 years old. And they took them out on this cruise, and you just heard the witnesses talk about what happened there. And it's just unbelievable that this was going on right in front of our faces. And the witness we heard earlier talk about, victim, we heard earlier talk about Epstein was really trying to bring Babylon on Earth, make it a reality. And we know about the strange building on the island. Makes you wonder if that's connected, right? I don't really know. The thing that really sucks about all of this is that we don't have all the evidence, is that we have a snapshot, and whatever narrative we try to put together and make sense of in this snapshot, it cannot be complete because we don't have all the evidence. We don't have all the stuff that we need. We know that they redacted a lot of people's names who were, in fact, very rich and very powerful. This is John Casablancas here talking about how he's so genius because he can find pretty girls. I don't think that takes genius, dude. So it's amazing the narcissism these guys have. They think that they are responsible for these girls' careers when they would have no career without these girls. This is something we see kind of in the upper class of individuals to begin with, right? Is we're all kind of peons, worker bees, and every once in a while they'll throw us a bone. So John Casablancas modeling agency, just take a look at how old those girls are there. So I just want to encourage, like, if you have an outgoing kid who, you know, wants to be a model, wants to get into acting, whatever you do not let that kid out of your sight. Not for 10 seconds. Because these wolves will come ascending down. It's not worth it. It's so sad. You think about all the victims and the deaths around these cases, right? Like 2 people killed in a prison. One of them, our own prison in the United States, one of the most heavily guarded, cameras everywhere, bodies everywhere, and we could not prove that he hung himself. Which means what is more likely is the other story, which was that he was murdered. So Trump, I mean, this isn't a hate Trump show or channel. Like, I wouldn't care. I hate Bill Clinton just as much for being in these emails, for being on these flights, for being involved with these people, just as much. I probably wouldn't have opinion either way if they could not be pedos. But the problem is, they are. Maybe they were, but all of them engaged in this activity. Don't die on that hill defending what these men did. There's no defense for what these men have done. There's none. There's zero, there's zip, there's zilch. Understand, like, this is how these men thought. This was a project. This was a pipeline. This isn't the one we're talking about in Florida. This was an international pipeline of women that were aspiring models. And he had a whole system built in place to keep them coming in the door. He didn't even have to go get them. He had them coming to him. Under the guise of legitimacy. So again, you got a kid or a family member or a friend that wants to get into modeling. There's enough stuff out there right now they could do it on their own in social media. Don't sign off your kid to one of these fucking crazy people. They aren't even people to people like this. And sure, Epstein's dead. Maxwell is in her puppy prison. But that doesn't mean this isn't going on right now. We just looked at the modeling website. It looks like a fucking... It looks like eBay for women. That's what it looks like. It's insanity. Crazy. We can't find a direct connection between these folks and Melania Trump, meaning Donald Trump. But we know, what we do know is that Melania Trump worked in the modeling industry during the same era with some of these same players. And we just read that very grotesque email about how when you first met Melania. So I think if we can put two and two together, we can see maybe how Trump and Melania ended up together. But we won't know that because they're going to redact that or just straight up withhold that until someone that can do otherwise gets in there and says otherwise. But there's probably some very frustrated FBI agents out there right now wondering why they're being told not to release certain things. What a wild, wild world, y'all. Look out for your little ones. Please say your prayers for all these victims. He's just left a wake of victims behind him. It's a possible murderer too. If they're looking for bodies on Zorro Ranch, y'all. This is how, and he had an island. So we're going to do an episode on his cloning program. Been researching that for a while. That's going to be coming soon, so look out for that. But other than that, thanks for hanging out with me, y'all, and spending this hour and a half getting into this Epstein case. Again, we're going to keep cranking them out because I'm not going to let them memory hole this. Me and my few subscribers, and look, we're not going to forget this. No matter, you can start a war. Okay, you started a fucking war. And yeah, I'm going to talk about that too. But I'm not going to stop talking about this. And I don't think anybody should. Until something happens. Yeah, they still have not made an arrest. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Thank you for tuning into the Gabriel Speaks podcast, y'all. I will see you next time